Alright, so this video is to kind of cover on the Rune update that they did. Nothing too big. It's kind of easy to approach it, granted that you do understand how to read it and what I'm getting at. There will be a separate video later down the line to re-emphasize on this. Note that when it comes to some of the videos that I have that might be released around runes or some of my past recordings, this feature function wasn't in the game during those times. So this video is to kind of give you guys a brief update on that and to kind of quickly cover it before I release all those videos and then start working on the newer ones to kind of implement said function. So pretty much this is January 5th, 2023. Hi, my name is Morphsuit America, and it's to cover the Rune update that they added. So you don't need to, well, I am working on a bunch of videos about runes. I already made an hour-long video talking about it. If you want to see it, upper right or in the description. If you don't want to watch that, I am going to try to condense and make shorter variants of the Rune video talk. But this video, once again, is to emphasize on the new change. Now, it's nothing too big. It's more on text flavor, and it does help you out in terms of acknowledging some stuff. With the breakdowns of you navigating and understanding how to do this and this and this, it is pretty much still the same. Monster information on the left side, all the runes you have, the various sets you have in the middle, then the rune details and all the runes you have over on the right side in terms of you enhancing and equipping and all that. It is still the same sort of deal, especially with some of my past recordings. The only difference with this sort of update is the flavor text. Now, if I click on this, you can see that if you look at any of my past videos about runes, you will not see this colored stuff, the C1, S1, A1, A1, or S2, S2, B1, B1. Now, you might have caught on to what that means, but if you don't understand what it means, it pretty much tells you, one, the grade of that ability, and I'll talk about that a bit more. Then the second one is to emphasize on how many times you rode into that stat. Now, if you play Sky Arena, some of these terms, or any sort of game, these terms are familiar. So rolling into stat is pretty much you gambling, you dealing with RNG, and trying to get the certain stat you want to get upgraded. Notes that you may or may not have control over it. Then there's also just like you randomly pulling for like the highest sort of number for that particular ability. So let me just backtrack and just emphasize on the grade. Now, letter. Let's go with letter, because I do mention grade with the rune in itself and like the color of it, but let's just specifically talk about the letter. Letter emphasize on the sort of grade that the ability gets in itself. And I'm just saying that it's gonna indicate if this particular stat is like the highest sort of number you can go for. So ignoring the lower number over there, like the S1, ignore the ones, ignore the numbers for now. So if I look at this without the numbers, the HP is at a C rank, the accuracy percent is at an S rank, evasion's at an A rank, HP percent is at an A rank. Now, how do you know like what's gonna be high and all that? And I mean, it's also hinted at if you just look at all your runes, minus the ones that are enhanced. Like this is apparently accuracy at an S rank is 4.9%. I was looking through a good chunk of my runes to see which one has the same substats. So accuracy down here you can see is a 4.7% and it's a B rank, and it's kind of the same. Well, minus this one, ignore that one. I think if you think about it too, well, no, scratch that. I was about to say some other things. Now you can see that the accuracy is still S rank and it's 4.9%. This one, no, that's tampered with. This one, you can see no rows into it. It's at its basic level. It's an S rank and it's 4.9% as well. You can see that this one, no rows into it, is a B grade because it's 4.7. I'm trying to find something that's in an A or C. C, 4.5%. So pretty much this kind of just evaluates that certain ability. 4.8%. Now, is this something that you may want to be conscious about? I don't know. It depends on if you're literally min-maxing on these stats. And I don't think I saw any other number higher. Don't ignore the S2 stuff because that's you pushing your rows, the randomness into it. But in terms of the base level with just the letter grade, you can see that most of them, actually this one's actually high. So I think 5% is the highest that is in my roster. Actually, is there a way to filter this out as well? No. They should have a way to filter it out. Or have more options to try to filter it out. But yeah, so the letter grade, that's what I'm going to refer to from here on out. Letter grade is in reference to that particular stat, and if it's the highest number potential it can be. So if you have an S grade, that's the highest it can be. Granted that it could go even higher if you're even lucky, but that depends. You're gonna have to compare and contrast and figure it out. Now, with me explaining the letter grade, let me now explain the number grade. Now, this is telling you the number next to the letter. Like, if you ignore the letter, if you focus on the number, this tells you how many times you rolled into the stat. So if it's at a 1 level, it is pretty much your base stat. It did not get influenced. This is what it originally was when you got it. So if I look at this piece, for example, I mean, they're all at 1. So pretty much the HP hasn't been influenced by any sort of rolls or anything. So it's at 323. Accuracy is at 4.9%. Evasion is at 5.2%. HP is at 6.1%. So this is all not influenced. Now, if I look at something like Karambit, for example, what does it mean by a grade 4? Pretty much, once again, 1 is pretty much like zero influence whatsoever. So if it's a grade, let's point to this one for example. If it's a S2, S2 means, or at least the 2 next to the letter grade means that you rolled once into the stat. So this could have originally been like 4.9% or 5%, and then you rolled into it by hitting the +3 or any 3 increment. The +3, +6, +9, +12, just around those 4. And you can see that it rolled once into this stat. Now the other one went into the attack speed. For Karambit's case, for example, all of those rolls that I had with this purple rune, all 3 of them went into crit damage. That's what it means by S4. So pretty much another easy way to kind of figure this out is like, you stare at the number grade, you -1, and then it equals to however many numbers of rolls that got influenced into it. So pretty much a B1, for example, is pretty much base in terms of its percent. It did not get influenced. But if you went to something like this, the accuracy that's at S2, you -1, and pretty much it's just like you got 1 random roll into accuracy. This is kind of helpful because in Summoners War Sky Arena, this doesn't, it doesn't tell you exactly after you do the rolls and you witness it. If you are looking at the enhancement page, like how many times stuff got rolled into it, you kind of had to guess and try to remember, especially if you need to like just kind of bring up its history, like, hey, I think like this rune had 3 rolls into like speed or something. This tells you a definite number of times of how many things happen. But anyways, that is pretty much it with this video, pretty much explaining about this new grade system, or however you describe it, the letters and the numbers over here next to the stats. It's pretty much explaining the stat rarity and its rolls. That is pretty much it. Hopefully that's like a very good condensed dumbed down version of it. I will make a separate video making, like, emphasizing on this again, and it's a bit shorter, but pretty much that's what you are reading. With that sort of thing being said, I'm kind of surprised they did something like this, but I mean, it's also very convenient now because it helps me figure out, hey, like, literally something like this, it all rode into crit damage. If I look at, like, Rakan, for example, I think a lot of his runes went into HP? No, not this. Well, he got the HP percent there, but all the other times, you can see that everything went to HP, so just helps out in terms of that sort of quality of life thing. But that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully this video helps you guys understand why there's a bunch of stuff beside these stats. See you guys in the next video. Peace.